women, my Wuyi man. Greetings to all Africans. Greetings for the afternoon, women and Africans.
Can you discuss very briefly what a roots reading is and how it differs from a DNA test?
Well, when we say roots reading, in the Yoruba language, we say Ipilefa. And Ipile means the foundation or roots, but more so in relation to like genealogy, lineage. Idile means lineage. So Ipile is to go into the Ile, the lineage, according to Fa. So Fa is the oracle that gives us the lineage of a person. So we find out a person's clan, clan names, clan occupations, family occupations, family and clan names, family occupations in relation to the larger clan. In the case of New African people who were sold into enslavement for the most part, we find out where they came from, what port they came from, what port they came to. Did they come directly to America first? Did they go to, let's say, the islands first, and then were shipped up, up this way? And that's kind of the gist of a roots reading. DNA testing is coming out now. It's random. It's random. Hey, eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Okay, you're Yoruba. You may have Yoruba markers, if you will, meaning you have Yoruba blood in you, but that may not be your root. So going back to a roots reading just tells you what side of the family your clan descends from. From that, your primary clan. That's when we use the term. Where does the person's soul descend from? So it could be maternal or paternal that a person's soul could descend from. That will further get us to where and when in Africa that they came from.
Okay. So approximately how many roots readings have you done, and how many readings in general? Because it's not just roots readings that you do all different types of readings. And I can attest to that and say that I've had numerous readings. They've been very helpful, very informative, accurate. I mean, things that people could never know in my family. I mean, things that I didn't even know except upon talking to certain members of my family who had not shared this information with me. And then when I confronted them with the information, they were like, "How did you know that?" That is amazing.
I've never taken count of the roots readings. I will say since about 2006, that is, if we go through of 100% of readings, 70%, 60 to 70% have their roots reading, and that shows you the zeal that New Africans are resurging, that zeal of wanting to know exactly where they come from. People are a little bit disillusioned with the I'm African. Yes, we are African. We use the term Mawuyi in Fong Bay. That means the land of Mawu, the creator. That is one of the original names for that land according to the Fong-speaking people. But they want to go beyond, hey, I'm just African. I want to know, am I Yoruba, am I Efik, am I Congo? And what side of the family does that come from? What is my clan? Who am I related to? Are they still alive? A lot of times we find out in roots readings and various ancestral readings that people still have people still alive, connected to them. They may be right around the corner. Many times the clans, of course, are still alive and living in Africa, and they have stories. A lot of times, I've had people who've done roots readings for people where they did further research on their own, and they brought the roots reading information, like you said about the readings we've done for you. They brought the roots reading information to the ethnicity of the ethnic people that they were talking to. Let's say they're Igbo, and they told them of stories that came out in the roots reading, and the people would be like, we heard about this and this story. Yeah, it goes back to it, and they may even name an ancestor. And now they've actually found specific individuals or groups of individuals that they are actually some kin to from the information that comes out in the roots reading. But we don't know how many roots readings we've done. We do ancestral readings, which is a bit different from roots readings. Roots readings are ancestral, but ancestral readings, in a nutshell, are we check on the status of an ancestor. Has this ancestor reincarnated? Many times, a lot of people are venerating, honoring, worshiping ancestors that are not ancestors. They are actually back in the family. They're they're reincarnated. They don't leave a degree of their essence in the heavenly realms, or we call it Yetume in Feng Bei. They don't leave a degree of their essence when they reincarnate. They come back fully. Their spirit comes back fully. So there's a disjointment, if you will, amongst New Africans about ancestor worship and veneration, because they automatically think, okay, somebody's dead, let's put up a shrine, let's worship them. How do you know that that person hadn't reincarnated? So ancestral readings, they can tell you the status of an ancestor or a group of ancestors and much, much more. You know, it's like, it's so much to it.
Okay, last question. So what are some of the differences that you've noticed between DNA tests and roots readings in terms of cost?
I think the average DNA test is going to cost you at least 2 to 3 times more than a roots reading. But let's say the roots reading and the DNA test cost the same. Or let's say the roots reading test costs more than the DNA test. A DNA test cannot tell you that your people were warriors or your people were basket weavers and they were rich because they were basket weavers, or they had major farmland that the king contracted out to, you know, making them like millionaires back then. A DNA test, when they guess it correctly, can only tell you, hey, this is the ethnic group. That's that, you know. So even if they were the same price, which they're not, the wealth that you get from a roots reading is lifetime. A DNA test leaves you still wanting. We have DNA people that come to us all the time that say, hey, you know, I took a DNA test, but I want a roots reading. And then when we talk with them further, they basically say, well, I've gotten nothing. You know, one test told me I was Yoruba. The next one told me I was Efi. But neither one of them told me what's my name. You know, you're left. You know, you don't have your name. You don't have are you a royal descendant? What does that mean in this day and age? Or are you a descendant or a reincarnation of a priest or priestess? And what does that mean in this day and age? How do we operate and become? This is true full re-Africanization that the Maroon movement talks about. So the cost, you know, even if they were the same, it's more about the wealth, and the wealth is the internal spiritual wealth that you get from the roots reading.
Okay, thank you. Where can people find out more information about the readings and how to, if they're interested in getting a reading, how to go about doing it? What website?
Okay, we have several websites. We have New African Vodun, which is www.newafricanvodun.com. The word new, African spelled with a K, Vodun, VODUN.com. We have Kilambo Restoration and Healing. That is www.restorationhealing.com. And the link to the roots reading on there is actually /roots, the word roots. And then we have the Kingdom of Ganlodo, our kingdom, Ganlodo Hotome, which is ganlodokingdom.com. We also have an 800 number, 877-360-2331.